maybe I shouldn't be amused. You know, it's interesting. It was kind of a. I think something I kind of learned when I was growing up is a certain amount of amusement. You know, dislike, but also amusement. You know, it's some of people's foibles, the things that they do, the way that mostly, I think, having a lot to do with kind of people's behavior and sometimes the way that they deceive themselves. You know, that I am glad I got that from my parents to a certain extent. To have not exactly tolerance for bad behavior, but to at least try to understand it. And sometimes you can be amused by it. And so today, I don't know, am I going to publish this video? I don't know. Well, my battery is about to be over, so I don't know if I'll even be able to finish talking about it. But it's interesting. I mean, what do these celebrity guys who hit on me think they're going to do about the money issue? You know, I mean, I'm some kind of evil person for talking about it? How were you going to talk about it? What was your plan? You know, what is always the plan with these people? You know, they get all whatever it is they feel about me, or whatever at any given time. What do they think they're gonna do? They're gonna just like pick me up somewhere and sweep me out my feet, and I don't know, drop me off at a spa and have me delivered to a hotel room, and then we'll have sex, and then that'll be that. And then how is it that they deal with women anyway? I kind of get the feeling that the way a lot of these guys do things is they like to create a sort of fantasy in their relationships, right? So treat her like a little princess, you know, treat her like a princess, kind of, you know, not a real princess, not a modern princess, not someone who has like responsibilities and pressures of her own. No, just like act like sort of the stereotype version of, you know, I'm gonna treat you like blah 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 blah, whatever, take you out to dinner, put you in clothes. Of course, when I feel like it and I'm annoyed with you, I'm gonna throw it in your face about all the stuff that I buy you. But you know, while we're doing the whole courtship 3702VI, while we're doing the entire courtship thing, you know, I'm gonna try to impress you with the way that I treat you, even though it's not really actually particularly respectful, even in the initial stages, right? And so for me, what did you think was gonna happen? How did you think it was gonna work out? You know, whoever it is. Well, there's a bunch of them that are like this, you know, right? And kind of watching the way that they treat the women that they're with, I get that feeling. You know, there's always like the lead into it, like whenever they're feeling like it at the beginning of the relationship or before they get to know them, or you know, kind of sort of in the process of it, or when they're intoxicated by whoever it is, you know, for whatever reason, because the people like to pretend. They like to pretend. They like to feel carried away by their emotions. They like to feel like, you know, their emotions are the most important thing in the world. I think it's kind of like trained to think it doesn't really matter, or that's a virtue instead of something that's wrong with your character as a person. You know, I mean, regular people have to spend a lot of time learning how not to be carried away by their feelings, because they have a practical consideration of most people have to work for other people. Most people are not independently wealthy by the time they're 15 years old. You know, so most people have to live more in reality about how they deal with their relationships, you know. And I think sometimes it's just like I know it causes a lot of pain, you know, kind of eventually it just causes a lot of pain, because there's only so much you can live in a fantasy. There's only so long you can do that, no matter who you are or whatever it is, because eventually it all falls through, and you have to deal with things the way they really are. And if you're not used to dealing with things the way they really are, or you refuse to deal with them for however many decades it is, you're going to kind of end up, you know, not knowing how to do it, and every time you're going to get more disappointed, and every time you're going to get more upset. But you know, I mean, just what did you think was going to happen? You know, I love these declarations that people make. Oh, I love you, but I could never help you find work. Oh, I love you, but I'm like, you know, and I know that you're destitute and I have millions of dollars, but I don't want to talk about what it would be like for us to try to date each other. So, somehow we're going to just let that all like live in the ether. You know, because, you know, who cares about money and blah, blah, blah. As if it's some kind of movie. As if that's the way things really happen in real life. And yet here I am, you know, trying to make sure that you don't forget about the reality. You don't forget about the reality of my life. You don't forget about the reality of what it would actually be like to be with me. And you don't forget about, you know, what it means, what the things that you're saying really mean. You know, you can get offended all you want to. Go ahead and get offended. You know, I mean, and be like, lash out and do whatever it is you're gonna do. You know, I'm used to that about you by now. You know, but I just know that first of all, the fantasy that you like to create around women is not the one that I want to live in at all, ever. And second of all, I know that, you know, dealing with reality is always better than living in a fantasy. Actually living in a fantasy, I don't want that. You know, I already know that is, you know,